that things are constantly changing. Disasters are taking place. Cities are being completely wiped away. Children have the ability to do the very thing that people in their 40s and 50s cannot accomplish. There are kids today that at 2 years old, 1 year old, 3 years old can get on a laptop and use the password that you set because they just visually remembered it, and they can get on computer and pull up a Pro Tools operation and start doing a complete recording session. I witnessed it for myself. Some kids now are musically inclined and they have abilities to do things before they even learn their alphabets. And you have children and youth that can preach and sing and do things better than adults who have gone through years of training and experiences. Why is this taking place? Because time is changing and God is changing. He's changing his plan. And anytime you see kids that are being equipped at a young age, that is a signal to you that God is doing something different. Anytime you see your child able to do something and to be equipped for a specific purpose before they even reach a level of maturity, it is God showing you that I'm about to do something different. And so he plants these seeds of equipping, and he plants these seeds of knowledge and learning and wisdom, and he gives them aptitude to learn things of different cultures and different things around them, because time is changing. Say that time is changing. It is not as it used to be, and things are changing. That's why some of you are quiet right now, because now you just realize why they put you out your position and hired somebody younger, because time is changing. And we tried to give you an opportunity to get yourself together, but there's somebody that's 11 years old that can do better than what you're doing, because time is changing. Daniel is put in a position to be forced into a Babylonian culture and still maintain his faith. And so now we looked at Daniel's lifestyle in chapter 1. Speaks completely, it speaks so loudly, even before his ministry began and before he started to interpret dreams, because Daniel is first recognized as a man of faith. And we see this because he is obedient. Somebody say obedient. He is obedient to the laws that were already given to him at an early age. He is obedient to the doctrine that he learned. He's obedient to the system of Jewish culture and Hebrew culture. And here he is having to be put in an environment that is not really what he's from, but he knows how to stay firm on what he knows. How many of you can really say that even though you've been placed into an environment that is really not what you're used to and what you're accustomed to, and you've been around friends who didn't necessarily believe what you believe, but you were still able to maintain your faith in God, and you did not offend God because you were able to stay faithful. Somebody say faithful. Daniel's lifestyle speaks first. Daniel is put into the position in the king's tower and in the king's palace to learn what it is that they are all about. And I think that it was the Spirit of the Lord that caused Nebuchadnezzar to want to even do that, because if he was doing it for political reasons, he could have asked some of the older and wiser men of Judah if he needed to find out any information about them. If he needed to try to get some kind of benefits or some kind of wealth benefits or monetary benefits, he could have used somebody older. But I don't think it was about money, and it really wasn't about politics as much as it was about the Spirit of God coming into a situation and making that good come out of that bad. I think it was God that talked to the king and told him, take some younger men, take some that are handsome, some that are well-groomed, some that are well-poised, some of the smartest out of the king's palace and nobility, and let's teach them what we know. Let's try to cultivate them, because now Nebuchadnezzar is looking toward the future, but he's still operating under the hand of God, because now he has someone who will live longer than him and succeed him in government in his house. Some people are placed into environments and they don't know why they're there, but they're there because the Spirit of the Lord has ordained it to be so. And where you are is not probably where you want to be, but it definitely is where you are going to be, and it is going to propel and cultivate a foundation for you to get to where you're going. Somebody talk to me in here. It's an opportunity for Daniel to learn this culture and for him to get common with them and understand how they operate, because this is the Spirit of the Lord acting and doing what he's doing at this particular point. Here you have Daniel and his three friends. We know them as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they're placed into this training, and then they were given the assignment to eat certain food and drink, and it is given from their enemy. And I can shout on that because your enemy is going to be your meal ticket. You might not like them, but they're the ones that's going to pay for everything that you're going to do. But some of y'all are confused about that, so let me break it down. If you have a hot dog stand, and you selling hot dogs, and you got a hater, guess what the hater has to do in order to hate on you? He has to get in the car, go to your hot dog stand, buy your hot dog, and then eat it and talk about it. Who got the $7? You got the $7. When he said I would prepare a table, he didn't say I was going to prepare it in front of your friends. I was going to prepare a table in front of your enemies. Your enemies is what's paying for it. And here you have Daniel sitting in front of the king and being forced to eat the food at the table, but it is not of his culture. And so here you have Daniel being forced to do this, and so he makes a decision and says, I can't eat this, I can't drink this. Strong wine and strong food and this kind of meat is an offense to my God, it's an offense to my culture. And here it is that the chief official turns and tells him that if you don't do this, I'm going to be killed, and you will eventually be killed, because it'll show that you were disobedient to the order that the king had given you. And so you have favor with this man who's going to work this thing out. But now, when I ask God, how do you maintain faith in an environment that is really not conducive to where you are from and what you have been ordered to do? He spoke three words to me very specifically, and he said something that Daniel had that we should all have is faith, focus, and a future. Faith, focus, and a future. Faith, focus, and a future. Daniel had faith. Why did Daniel have faith? He had a faith that was not only committed to God, but it was unmovable. He had unmovable faith. Y'all have studied even in 1 Corinthians, I think that's 15 and 58. Now be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, and know that your labor is not in vain. Because at this point, it is so parallel to what's going on with Daniel. He has unmovable faith. So much so that he refuses to eat the very thing that will offend God. And I want to encourage, and I want to ask first, how many people have really committed themselves so much to God that you have unmovable faith? That means if somebody puts you into an environment, you can stand your ground. You won't conform to the world, but you'll change the world. You'll do what you need to do to make sure that God is glorified, and it's not necessarily you conforming to what's around you. Unmovable faith. Faith without works is dead, and works without faith is unsuccessful. And here's that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things that you're not even aware to see. And here it is that faith is that determining factor that is going to build the foundation for your future. If you do not have faith, and if you don't constantly build your faith in God, your commitment level will soon deteriorate. And after you get through committing to God and then failing, here you have no hope to continue a future. You have to have faith in God, and then you have to fuel your faith. And you have to build your faith. And every time that you're in an environment in church, don't come to church because you're doing somebody a favor. Come to church because it's an opportunity to build your faith. Because something is going to happen with you, and you're going to need your faith. If you live today and if tomorrow is not coming, God will not be glorified out of your life. Use this opportunity to build your faith. He had to have a focus. He had to have a focus, and a focus in this sense is not so much so the specific dictionary term as far as focusing a lens or coming up with a clear image, but focus as much as discipline is involved. Focus in the aspect of discipline. And here it is that Daniel is partaking of the king's meal, but he has discipline because he understands that this is offensive. And so with his focus and not being distracted by anything else that's around him. He makes a decision because his future is next. And so if I'm focused about what I'm doing and where I am and the fact that even though it's been prophesied that Babylon will come, it won't last entire for my whole lifetime. Something is going to happen. Things are going to change. So I need to focus myself and I need to figure out what is it that I can do that will still glorify God, but help me to stay in the environment that I'm in. This is discipline.